what's clutter? Let's get that cleared up, okay? You have okay, what's clutter?
Well, things that are in the wrong place.
Not necessarily. That's more of an issue of disorganization. So a factor for sure. What's clutter?
It's a state of mind.
You can have a very cluttered mind, so that's very good. Okay, let's start with that. Thinking. Most of my work starts here, okay? And thinking, feeling, doing. Okay, it's very, can you read that? When you're thinking more clearly, you feel better. When you feel better, it's so much easier to do what you need to do, okay? If you want to declutter and you feel overwhelmed or even confused or resentful, I worked with one woman in a garage and we were doing really well together, but she seemed so annoyed. And I finally stopped, because you never want to ignore your feelings when you're decluttering. That's when we get into trouble. And I said, what's bothering you? You seem sort of annoyed. And she said, I was just so angry my husband's not here helping me. And I said, oh, sweetie pie, let's talk. And I said, you're the high priestess of the household. It's really good that he's not here, because you get to do it your way. And so what you do is divide his stuff, that's all his, and you organize everything in the garage. And he came back and did his own. It was amazing. So you think, how you're thinking about this causes you to feel a certain way, and when you feel a certain way, it's very hard to do what you need to do. No tip, even a good one, is going to work if you're in a bad mood. Okay? So you need to actually get into a motivation. Wasn't it you were talking about motivation? You want to get motivated to do what you need to do. So to get motivated, you have to rethink what you're doing. Okay? So this is where we get into trouble. And perfectly sane people go, why can't I just do this? And you open up the whole closet, and then you close it, and you go to the movies. Or you go volunteer. Or you're suddenly busy doing something else.
Go to the refrigerator.
Go to the refrigerator. Okay, so this is the integrated approach that's really addressed in some of the books, but what I use these graphic lessons to teach you how to do this. Okay, so we all need to do what we don't want to do. There's certainly things in my life I don't need to do, and I need to acceptance is one, and then I have to reframe how I'm thinking about it so I can do it without the frustration, annoyance, and everything that comes along with forcing. Okay, so the first step is not doing what we need to do or forcing yourself. You want to practice non-force. Okay, this is where we get into trouble. If you force yourself to do something that you're not ready to do, you're building in a resistance that your mind remembers the next time you try and do it. Okay, if you force yourself to do something that does need to be done, and you really don't want to do that, I want you to honor and respect, R-E-S-P-E-C-T, the feeling, and back off. Get ready. The first step of doing something is to get ready to do it. Can you get the handout? This is the getting ready part, please. You want to practice non-force. The more you force yourself to do something, the more you resist doing it. So what is clutter? So that was clutter in your thinking, is if, okay, I'm going to roll up my sleeves and I'm going to force myself to do it. That's cluttered thinking. What's physical clutter? Can you hand me the one that's a list of things? What's clutter?
To me, it's physical things in your environment that take away a sense of calm.
Yep, that's actually, if it does annoy you, if it's physically or emotionally in your way, it's clutter. Okay?
And well, it's, in my case, it's where a person takes off their clothes and they drop on the ground and they're left there. Or the cup is...
That's messy. That's not clutter.
But it adds up, because in the kitchen, all the cups end up all the dishes, everything is just sitting where it was last touched.
Okay.
And I'm the one that's responsible to pick it up.
Okay, so this is not an issue of clutter. This is a lack of cooperation in the household. You're not getting enough shared responsibility or delegation of responsibility, and there's a wee bit of resentment in you. Okay? So if you actually are trying to clean that up with that much resentment, you're not going to get very far. Okay?
Well, yeah.
Okay? So, but that's, you're describing a messy situation. You can have a completely messy house with very little clutter. Okay? And you can have a very organized house and it's 80% clutter. I'm making the number up. If somebody has died and it's a beautifully organized home, but the person no longer lives there, and 80% of it can be clutter, it needs to be moved out eventually, hypothetically. But you can have a very messy home with very little clutter. It's just messy. Yeah, that's what you're describing, I think.
Yes, so it's a combination.
Yes, the volume, like how many sippy cups does a family need? Especially when the kids are now 5 or 6. But the sippy cups are still in the cabinet because the mother's busy, doing other things, but the sippy cups are in the cabinet. You see what I mean?
So it's things that are no longer useful,
Okay.
no longer, that aren't loved.
Yes, there's 4 criteria. A love, use, space, and the next one, the 4th one, is the one that's often forgotten, and it's lifestyle. And lifestyle includes your aesthetic, your preferences, your home, anything that's true for you now. Like I used to ski, but I don't ski now. So if my skis were around now, then those would be clutter. Okay? But I still love skiing, but I no longer use it. I have skis, I'm making this up, I don't have them anymore. I wasn't using them anymore, so they were taking up space. It wasn't until really that I needed that space that I was motivated to declutter them. So you don't have to answer yes to all of these, but skiing was no longer part of my everyday life, my year. Do you see how that worked? Did anyone bring something with them to declutter? Okay, we can practice. So there's 4 criteria. Love now, use now, space now, and lifestyle now. This means pretty much, this is not for memorabilia. Okay, this is not memorabilia, this is the stuff in your house. You have 4 criteria, and now means around now, like a year. Packrats keep everything just in case in the future, okay? Just in case I need it in the future. And then their present home gets all stuffed with a hallucinating future. You're hallucinating most of the time. And usually it has to do with something happened way back when they learned, or they had parents who lived during the Depression, and they held on to everything. And so they learned a habit that does not fit into their present life. If they really need something, they can go get another hammer. Usually you can afford it. But if you've run out of space and you're not using half of what's in your tool shed or something, I don't know how much you can love a hammer, but use, space, lifestyle. Anyone want to volunteer with their stuff? Did you bring something? Is clutter? Okay.
Yes, I have a New Yorker magazine from July 25th, 2016. And the thing is, you can see, this is a big problem because it always has very good, most of them have very good articles in them. And if you haven't read all of them, you think, I must keep this so I can go back and read it. But then, of course, you get one the next week and you never get back to it. Right. So they stack up in my table next to me.
That's a volume issue. She can't keep up with the volume. Her expectation to read all of that is not matching the context of her current life. If you broke a leg and you were in bed for 3 months recuperating, you might be able to read all your New Yorkers. You can make it your mission if you want.
I wanted to. Yes.
Right. So they're laying around, okay, taking up space. Is it bothering you?
Yeah, it doesn't make, I mean, I'm actually trying to train myself to take them to the library or, you know, or just toss them if I'm not going to, or take them to a hospital waiting room.
You could, some people do rip out the article that they want to
Yes.
read and keep that, and they put it in a notebook. It does, or a file.
But then you might not get back to read it anyways. So that's
Exactly, so now we're back to the time issue, the reality of like, you're overeating a little bit, like I just can't take in anymore though. Okay, so there's also that online reading thing now. So that, I'll come to decluttering. So now if it wasn't bothering you in the space, okay, if it wasn't bothering you that it was taking up space, and also the nagging feeling like I should be reading these, or I'm wasting my time, or I should be keeping up, that doesn't feel good. That kind of self-talk is actually making it an emotional issue as well as a physical, practical issue. So what are you going to do with your New Yorker?
I'll put it back in the pile.
She's not ready. Okay, I never argue with my clients.
I have recycled a number of them. No, I'm getting better at it.
Next week, I want you to bring up the the magazine again, and we're going to come back and use that as an example of how she has the intention. Notice how she has the intention to take it to the library. Okay, so this isn't an issue of not being able to decide to let it go. It's you need to build a routine to actually get it to the library. Okay? Well, who else has another piece? Yeah? What do you have over there?
Well, this is symbolic of a jewelry box of my father's. And it's not my taste, but it belonged to him, and I don't know what to do with it, along with other stuff. I mean, I have other memories.
Remember when scrimshaw used to be so cool?
Yes, it's beautiful.
Okay. So, do you love it? No. You love your father. You don't make this your father. You have to separate the item from the person. You don't use it. It doesn't take that much space, so that's not really...
It's one of...
It's a collection of scrimshaw?
Of other stuff that I have the same feelings about.
Okay, and it's not fitting into your lifestyle. So this is your clutter, and so now the next question is not whether it's clutter or not. There's another, you can have it back. I was hoping. Now would be good. That was very funny. I didn't think, you don't want to get it back, do you? Okay, so if that was a collection of male jewelry, I would go to a jeweler and find it. You have to take pictures of it, itemize it. This is where the work comes in. You take pictures of it, whether it's a piece of furniture or a piece of jewelry, or you go to the jeweler yourself and you say, I have this collection of jewelry, and you get an expert's opinion about it. And so the work is, bring it back next week, okay? And the work is now, she's decided there's clutter, and now the next question is how to let it go in a way that feels good. Okay, it's not about getting rid of anything, it's about choosing. Instead of forcing yourself to let it go, it's about putting yourself in a position of power to choose how to let it go in a way that actually feels good. My work is often called sensory-based decluttering because I want you to always be paying attention to your feelings. You don't want to just get rid of it, right? You want to learn, you want to investigate on how to let it go in a way that feels good. And that takes your attention and your time. And then you go, I'm busy doing something else. So you have to make it important enough to keep it a priority, to take care of it. So when was your father's birthday?
It was in April
April
13th.
Okay, so why don't you make it between now and April 13th, you've decided what to do with his jewelry. Okay?
You said it was extremely helpful to say how I could give it away in a way that made me feel good. Monetizing it doesn't make me feel good. It's more, that's why, because you're a nice person if you like it. All right. Let's take this one step further.
I wanted to find a home.
Does anyone know somebody who would really love this scrimshaw necklace?
Seriously, I mean, that's more important.
Okay, this is called regifting. It's a legitimate alternative. So does anyone know anyone who does scrimshaw? Sorry. But you know what? If you went to New Bedford or Gloucester, you'd find some takers.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Now, the trick is to actually enjoy it.
That is really a very good point, because I don't want to just get rid of things. I mean, I have more than I need.
That's where we get into trouble. When we're thinking we're getting rid of stuff, that's what filled up the planet with trash and garbage. Get rid of it. It's somebody else's problem. We don't get rid of it. We choose how to let it go in a way that feels good. And of course, there is some trash, but you want to do, this requires your attention, your thoughtfulness, your consideration, your respect. You need to respect your stuff. It's the stuff of your life. It's your life.
It represents us, but it's gifting.
Regifting is a wonderful thing, and also when there's so many people that don't have what we can afford to give away. Do you know what this is?
It's a hamster cage.
Yeah, a little gerbil Hansel. It's like pre-1940s. It has a little gate right here. It's a little gate. It's a little mouse, gerbil. I love this, okay? Yeah, I saw that. And when people call me, they feel like they're here. They're just going around and around and around and around. Or they can't get out, and they feel trapped, okay? This is the number one, particularly for women, the highest charge of emotion is the sense of entrapment, like there's no way out even if you try, which renders you helpless, which makes you crazy when you're really competent outside of the house and you can't figure out what to do with, a bunch of socks. It's crazy making. So be kind to yourself. There's a lot of stuff under your clutter, your history, the meaning, what your parents taught you, and then on top of the clutter, there's all that self-criticism. Like, what's the matter with me? Don't take it personally. This is not personal. Every person I know in this part of the world is dealing with their stuff. Now, of course, they talk to me about that all the time, but everyone is dealing with it. And even 10-year-olds are talking to me sometimes going, I can't believe Mommy kept that. Is this clutter in your house? Do you love it? Use it? Space? Lifestyle? Now, would anyone want to take that home with them?
Totally, that is so cool.
All right, there's always
It's
one.
a metaphor. It's a beautiful metaphor.
It's a beautiful metaphor. And so I use these in workshops because this is how people start with me, and then there's the freedom. Okay, but the freedom is not to conquer your stuff. The freedom is, I trust my decision making. I'm feeling confident about my decisions. I don't feel like my mother's going to come over and punish me because I got rid of her old robe. You're free of all of that. But I also collect old metal household items that are now plastic often. So this is part of a collection, but it's clutter in somebody else's house. You see, it's very subjective. It's a beautiful experience when you get clarity about what adds value to your present life in your home. So the important thing here are the 4 questions and the 3 answers. Notice it's not, yes, this is clutter, you let it go, or no, this is my, stuff is neutral, clutter is painful, okay, of varying degrees. But the real ticket to your freedom here is not to get bogged down. You want a category that says don't know yet, okay? Yes, no, don't know yet. So I'm working, 50% of my clients are on the phone. I never meet them. And I decluttered this absolutely charming 35-year-old woman who is getting married in New York City. And I said, why do you want to declutter your closet? And she goes, well, I have to make room for my fiancé. And I said, you're right, you're absolutely right. And we went through all her shoes and all her pants and all her dresses just over the phone.
Do you do it with Skype?
No Skype. I'm really surprised at how few people want to use Skype. I think they like the privacy. But I can teach you how to process, and they gain confidence, and then they work on their own. So be kind to yourself. I mean, this is knowledge. We're at the knowledge level, but then there's a practice and an integration, and then it becomes new habits. What's something in your house that you don't love, but you have space for it?
Your washing machine? It takes up a lot of room.
Yeah, but it's
It's kind of
useful.
a necessary
You don't love
evil.
it. You keep it because it's useful, not.
Right, you don't have to love it. You don't have to answer yes to all of these. It's just these are the 4 questions. It's kind of like if you're going to get married, you ask of yourself to the partner, well, he's this and he's that, and this is good, that's good, it's not so good, but he's still worth keeping. You see what I mean? And you keep him. But you don't have to say yes to all of these or no to all of these.
You brought something.
I have a daughter who's 11, and her room is packed with gifts from all sorts of people and loved ones and friends. And then just recently, neighbors who adore her brought this back from California for her, but she has like 7 mobiles hanging already. But we love this mobile, but there's almost no ceiling space to put another one, and we're getting where we can't even enjoy them. So I don't know what to do, so it's just sitting on the washing machine.
Okay, so have you decided whether it's your clutter? First thing is not what to do with it. The first question is this your clutter? Has it become clutter?
It has become clutter.
Okay, so that's the first question. Then the next question is, well, now what do you do with it? Okay, and that's how you have to put your mind on it. Like what is a way in which you can let go of this in a way that would feel good? Okay, so you decide whether it's clutter or not, and then you decide how to let it go in a way that actually feels good.
Now I'm thinking it's not clutter.
You're beginning to think it's not clutter?
Yeah, I'm thinking it would be better to switch it out with another mobile.
Well, there you go. That's certainly your prerogative. Okay? So one of the mobiles is going, though.
I guess so.
Okay. All right, so now she has to make time to actually implement this intention of switching the mobiles. So we're back to how do you make the time to do all these little tiny decisions. Okay, so she's decided to keep that. Okay, but swap it out.
Okay, I have to write that down.
Now you put that in your list of intentions.